Hi everyone, Heather Cooper here, playing with paper crafting. I'm a little bit late this morning. I was sitting there enjoying a hot cross bun, and my hubby says, "You know it's 11, right?" And I went, "Ah, okay." So we're getting started a little bit late this morning. But today I'm going to show you a new technique. Well, it's not a new technique, it's an old technique, but it's one that I really like. And it's called the black ice technique. So I don't know if you've tried it before, but we're going to give it a go this morning. So I just need to find my Playing with Paper Crafting page so I can follow along with your comments, and then we'll get started here. So hopefully some of you are around this morning, but if not, you'll see this on the replay. And then, then we can get going. So this was originally, I think, started by Melissa Kerman, a demonstrator, and it's been followed and tried by a lot of different people. It's a beautiful technique. So it involves using a permanent ink, black ink, on foil, and then embossing it with a clear embossing powder. Okay, so I tried it with a couple of different stamps. Yesterday I tried with a solid stamp, but my stazon was just a bit too sticky for it. It didn't work out very well. And then when I tried with a line stamp, a line outline, or an outline stamp like this, it worked much better. Okay, so we will get started on that. You need to have a piece of scrap paper, maybe a couple, just copy paper with a nice, probably straight edge on it. But that's just to keep, well, I'll explain why when we get there. But let's prepare our base first. So I'm using basic black here, and so I'm just going to fold that. Here's what's cool. I don't know how many of you got my newsletter, but instead of hauling up, figuring out what adhesives and things I needed and what tools, I made up my little tool caddy and my adhesive caddy from my newsletter tutorial, and I just brought the whole thing up with me. It was easy as pie, and I have everything I want or need for my tutorial right there with me. So just burnishing the fold here, and just going to set that aside for a moment. Now I'm going to take out my basic gray. This is 5 1/4 by 4 inches, and I'm going to use my stazon. The reason that I lost my lighting was that I was trying to adjust where my trying to adjust everything right now. Nothing's working very well. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to drag my stazon ink down my cardstock to get kind of a line going down it. Now this isn't really necessarily part of the technique, so you don't have to have this in the background to be part of the technique, but it does make a kind of an interesting background. So I'm just going to add a little bit of couple of swipes of glue here, just to keep my paper still so that it doesn't move around. I don't want it to be like I don't want it to twist as I do because I want my lines to be straight. So this is pad to like direct pad to cardstock. So I'm going to hold it this way, and I'm going to tip it just so that this edge rests along the cardstock and the paper, and just drag it straight down like that. And the reason I have this here is that I don't want this edge of the ink pad to make a line going straight down my cardstock, okay? So now I'm going to move that over, and I'm going to do the same on the other side. Luckily, I'm pretty ambidextrous, so I can do this quite easily. Okay, that's a little bit too much for what I want, but luckily I'm going to have that covered up pretty much. I'm not sure if I really like that. I think I'm going to try that again. I needed to have my thing tipped, my ink pad tipped a bit. Let's try that again. Okay, so with that tipped more, now I'm going to drag it down. There, that's better. Let's try it on this side. Hi, Carol. Yeah, it's a little bit of a learning curve here. It takes a little bit of getting used to. And I think that caught on some adhesive. But I think my thing will cover it up. I just didn't get quite enough ink on there. Okay, let's try again. Got it? There we go. Okay, and now we can turn it around so that we get the same edge at the bottom as we do at the top. Stay put. You're also going to end up getting really inky fingers on this. So you can wear gloves or just be prepared with some wipes. Okay, I'm going to get rid of that paper, and we'll put it on this way because that way I can be sure that that little blotch is going to be covered up by my foil. Hi, Diane. How was everybody's Easter? Now I'm just going to clean my hands off because inky fingers here will get everything covered, I think, if I'm not careful. Okay, now I want to attach the ribbon before I attach this to my project or to my card base. So I want it to go about there. So I'm going to turn this over and apply. I think we'll use the Seal Plus. Got some veggies planted already. Wow. Is it really that time of year to plant veggies? I guess like peas and things like that. Okay, I'm gonna try, well, I'm gonna need that there for a little bit later. So I'm gonna try and keep my card base out of the way. All right, I'm going to add some more Seal Plus, or Seal. There we go. Okay, so that's the card base ready to go for the main event here. So I'm going to put that aside. Oh, actually, there's a backing for that. Now, the foil is 3.5 by 3.5. This is 1/8 of an inch bigger on each side. So this is 3 5/8 inch square. So I'm going to add this to, come on baby, nothing wants to work this morning. We sure missed having our grandkids with us. Quite often we do have grandkids with us on Easter, and just wasn't the same. Oh well, next year, right? Oh, snow, oh my goodness. Carol, that's not fair. It's been really nice here. Okay, now it's ready to go. Okay, so we're going to take some foil. This is the Sahara Sand foil from the Love You Always suite. These are the Love You Always foil sheets, okay? And this is from the January to June mini catalog. So I don't want to, I'm just going to actually take my sleeve and just rub that just to make sure that there's no fingerprints on that. Any kind of material, but usually microfiber is really good to get rid of any kind of, I don't know, oils or adhesive or anything that gets onto foil. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing that we did on the basic gray. So that was a trail run. We're going to go direct pad to cardstock or foil in this case with the stamp pad. So again, we're going to tip it and just drag it, okay? And we're going to do that on the other side. And you can see why, again, we have the paper here is so that the edge of the stamp pad doesn't create a line down the middle. Now, we're using stazon because any other kind of ink, like this is a permanent ink, and any other kind of ink would not stick to like a non-porous surface like foil. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. I think I'm finally getting the hang of this. And last time. Okay, here we go. Okay, looks like I've got a little bit of a gap in the middle here, so I'm just gonna do that one more time to take care of that gap. Okay, you see we've got a few little lines going down. That's just the way we want it. Okay, now I have to keep this out here because what I want to do is to stamp my main image on the foil, and I also want to leave a little bit of room for my sentiment. So I'm going to put the stamp on its back here and just ink it up with the stazon ink. Okay. This image is from Beautiful Moments, one of my favorite stamp sets. Beautiful line drawings, just kind of free look there. So I'm going to stamp it off a little bit to the right. You can see how sticky that is. I don't know if I need to re-ink my stazon pad, probably. Okay, and now I'm going to ink up the sentiment. And ink that, or stamp that right up here. Okay, thinking of you. Now I'm going to clean my stamps right away. I can use stazon cleaner later, but if I clean them off as soon as I can, I will have less of a mess when I go to use my stazon cleaner. This one is already waited too long. Oh, some of it's coming off. But I'm definitely going to have to spend a little time with the stazon cleaner on this. So regular stamp cleaner won't work on stazon ink. Unless you get it like immediately afterwards. Okay, that's not too bad. It won't be too much of a mess to clean up later. All right, now it's important that this, before we continue, that the ink is completely dry. Yeah, I really like this technique. So I'm using the first setting on the heat tool. There we go. And I need a nice clean new piece of paper. And I need this time my Versamark ink. Okay. I took kind of one of my dirty Versamark ink pads because it will get a little bit messed up. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do it quite a bit lighter. So we're going to turn the Versamark ink pad around and we're going to drag it along. But we're not going to put a ton of pressure on it. Just basically the weight of the ink pad and down the other side. Melissa, when she did her video on it, said to just lightly just let the weight of the ink pad carry it. I found that I needed a little bit more than that in order to get enough Versamark on there to hold the powder. So I did put a little bit of extra pressure on it. Okay, I'm just going to remove that and add my clear embossing powder. Now this is what gives it that beautiful, I don't know, rain shower look, is the clear embossing powder. And you can notice it's not completely uniform. I don't know if you can see that on the video, but it is enough to, I'm just going to set that back down here. I'm going to use my bone folder to just tap that back onto the, let's see if we can heat it up here. Now this foil is a little bit more lightweight than our other foils because you notice it tends to warp a bit when we heat it on full power. You won't find that if you use like our silver or gold foil, but with our good adhesive, we can make it lie flat on the paper. So I think I've got it all. Let me just check. Hi, Eunice. Oh, you got a new cutter. Nice. You'll like it. Okay. Yep, that pretty much does it, I think. Okay. So there's that beautiful texture, shiny texture that looks kind of like rain. And so now all we have to do is to add, I'm going to use the Stampin' Seal Plus because we want a nice strong adhesive to hold this onto the card base and to keep that warp from popping up. Okay, and we want about an 1/8 or 1/16 of an inch border all the way around. Hope you can see this. Okay, so we just add that to our card base, and that is the black ice technique. So it takes a little bit of practice. If you have any scraps of foil, wouldn't hurt to practice on those first and then try it out on your your good piece of foil, but just practice a little bit first maybe. And that's it for today. So I hope you enjoyed that. I will be back with some other techniques in the coming Mondays ahead. I have a few that I'm thinking about doing, so I hope you'll tune in on Mondays at 11 a.m. Thanks, Carol. All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.